Hello, welcome to Kingdom Journey, and we are so fortunate to have a very special guest with us today, Jean Capen, wife of one of our pastors, Jack Capen, Mr. Cheese, as I call him. Anyway, we are so glad to have you with us, Jean, and every first-time guest that our budget allows, we give them a little gift. So, it's not an all-expensive paid trip to Hawaii, but anyway, we'll let you hand it back. Anyway, Jean, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure.
Love to just hear your story. I know the people want to, so I'm just going to let you tell them your story.
Okay. I was relatively normal until I had my second child. And I believe it was the hormone change from the pregnancy. And I developed a temper, which I never had. And I still don't have a big temper, but I was just blowing up over the littlest things. And to the point where I was afraid I might hurt my children. So I got myself to the doctor and told him what was going on. And he prescribed an antidepressant for me and something also to help me sleep, which was huge. And it worked. It was great. And ever since, I've been on a pretty even keel. The antidepressants tend to work for a while. And for me, they worked a long while. And then you have to change or do whatever you have to do. But they were very effective for me and allowed me to have a normal, calm, controlled life. And a happy life. Yeah. And of course, it got even better once I accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior. Then not only was I not angry and frustrated and, sad and so forth, but I became joyful. So between the antidepressants and God, I'm in good shape. Yeah.
So are you still under medication?
Oh, yeah.
Are you?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I know you're interested in mental health.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the churches can do better in terms of dealing with people who struggle with mental health issues?
I think this church has tried very hard to educate people and to try to get them to come out and seek help. But with depression and mental illness in general, people are very, very reluctant to accept it in their own lives and to admit to it. And so even though the church has done things, and we actually sponsored a group called Fresh Hope, and we got very little response to it. So it was kind of disappointing. But I still think that the main thing is people have to understand that it's a mental illness. It's not any different than any other illness. Diabetes.
Right.
What do you do when you have diabetes? You take medication or you watch your diet. Or if you have heart problems, what do? You take the medication or you watch your diet. So it's no different from that. And it's important to take, to get the help and to take the medication if it's prescribed. Some people don't like to think that they have to take medication for it because of what it is. It's a mental health problem. And they're like, I'll deal with this. I'll fix it myself. And that's just not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
I never thought about that before. That people who are struggling with it won't take it because for them, then they have to admit that they have an issue with it.
Yeah. It's difficult for people to admit they need help. Yeah. And for some people, it's more difficult than others.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that even in any type of, whether it's an addiction or mental health issue, or even your spiritual life, if you're struggling with your relationship with God, the pathway to healing is to admit that you got a problem. And and to seek the help that you need to find in order to get through that.
That's exactly right.
I know it surprised me after that when Myra Gisha did her testimony about depression, that every Sunday since then, I've had numerous people in our congregation come up to me and tell me, I struggle with depression and this is why. And it really surprised me in a way. Not that I was surprised that there's people that don't have depression, but it felt good in a way, because I knew then that they were on a pathway to healing.
Yes.
And
right.
that's why we're here.
This is a really good thing that you're doing, because the things that we have done in the past just didn't really seem to make a dent to the congregation. Initially, they would come up and ask questions, and or I know people, or I know something, that kind of thing. But it really didn't seem to make an ongoing dent for people. So. And
the other thing that I have in my possession, I have a list of Christian counselors in the area and also in Tucson, and sometimes those types of referrals are important
very
for their well-being and for their healing. So if any of you are interested in any of that, you're welcome to call me, and I will provide you with my recommendations about that. So, Jean, just to kind of wrap it up a little bit today, what would you want to say to our audience about depression, and what would you recommend to somebody who might be listening to you and they have depression, but I'm not sure I want to admit it, I'm not sure what to do? What would you tell them?
Get help.
Get help.
Just do it.
Yeah.
It's a miserable way to live. It really is. It affects you. It affects your family. It can destroy your social life. And that's no way to live. That's not living.
Yeah.
So get help. Go talk to your doctor first. Talk to a good friend, if there's someone you can talk to. But talk to somebody about it. Get it out in the open. Be willing to accept that you have a problem, and maybe it's not mental illness. Maybe it's something else.
Yeah.
So,
you brought up something earlier about how your relationship with Christ was part of that change that occurred in your life.
Yeah.
I just thought of something when I was listening to you about how depression as a Christian can impact their relationship with Christ. And I don't know where that goes. I haven't thought about it that much, but I'm sure that it has an impact at some point in time.
It certainly can. And I still have days where I just want to isolate myself and not have to deal with the outside world. Fortunately, when you're retired and you're not working, you don't have to. When you have those days, you have those days. and they go by and you move on to the next day. And so it's okay. But yeah, it's a hard way to live. But not only do I not feel the depression, but I feel more joy now, which is huge. I mean, joy is something we should all have in life.
Yeah.
So.
Jean and I kind of joke once in a while to each other. We're both introverts. Folks, it's true. I'm an introvert. And when she was just describing, I am that way sometimes. I'm a person that just likes to withdraw. I like to just be by myself. Just me and my dog. Don't bother me. Just leave me alone. I'm in my own little world.
Yeah.
And this Sunday, on Easter Sunday, God just led me to an interesting passage to use for Resurrection Sunday, but the story of Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, and of course Jesus was in the picture, And I was thinking about that whole relationship, and here you have these sisters are just grieving the loss of their brother, and Jesus, where's Jesus at?
Yeah.
Why aren't you here? And sometimes I think when we get in those kind of things going on in her mind, whether it's depression or loneliness, like we've discussed earlier, that sometimes Jesus can be so far away from us and so far removed from us. And
True.
sometimes we got to fight through that, you know, and everybody goes through that, folks. Nobody's isolated from that. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about that on
Can
Sunday.
I add one more thing?
Oh, absolutely, sure.
I don't know if you remember, but you actually discussed maybe starting an introvert club.
Yeah.
And I said, but you can't invite too many people. You just can't have that many people around if you're introvert. So that cancels the club.
Yeah, it's just going to be me invited.
Yeah.
You can ask my wife that there was a time in my life, it was like, man, I was so introverted. You know, like people think I've been standing up in front of people for almost 60 years, and people think, well, it's so natural for you. No, it's not. If I'm in a room more than 4 or 5 people, I'm not comfortable with that. You know, maybe I'm getting off the topic here a little bit, but you folks listening, you'll understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, any final words you want to say?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Our pleasure.
Thank you for letting me share my story.
You're welcome.
I hope that the things that I've said today are very helpful to others who are maybe going through what I was going through and don't know what to do with it. Thank you, Victor, for being here on your birthday.
Yeah.
Now everybody's going to know it's your birthday.
Yeah, everybody send Victor a card.
Yeah,
Happy
that's
birthday.
right. That's right.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Jean.
You're
Thanks for joining us today. And thank you for tuning in. And next week, I think Myra's going to come back and she's going to do part 2 of her story. So be ready to tune in for that. But thank you for joining us today on Kingdom Journey. God bless you, and we'll see you on Good Friday and Easter.
Yes.